This is Weights and Wealth, your one-stop shop for entertaining education on building a stronger body and bank account.
We are not doctors or financial advisors and must warn you this is not medical or investing advice. It is for your entertainment.
Welcome back to Weights and Wealth, your number one podcast for faith, finances, fitness, family, and freedom topics. This will be a quick episode today. Nick and I have a half hour before Bible study, so we're going to try to speed run this thing. But we're going to be talking about the worst exercises for each muscle group. Have a quick little conversation on that.
This week's shout out is to my grandma and granddad Rafferty. They watch, I think, every single episode on YouTube. So we're very thankful. Yeah, thank you guys for watching.
They've got to be our oldest listeners, I would imagine.
Probably, yeah.
All right, moving right into the topic. So the exercises that we talk about here maybe are not, even though we say they're the worst, there might still be a good reason to do them at some point. But a lot of these exercises are going to be exercises that people might commonly do that are not maybe the best choice in exercise selection. So we'll kind of run through that.
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of had the philosophy that as long as you're not hurting yourself and you're moving weights around, like you're going to be working some muscle in some way.
It's absolutely true.
It might be, suboptimal, but as long as you're not hurting yourself during an exercise and you're enjoying it, I don't know. For me, that's like half of why I lift is just because I enjoy it. So I do exercises that I like to do.
Yeah, and especially if you're like in a new gym for a day, you're traveling or something, it's never a bad thing to just go around and try a bunch of new exercises, new machines you haven't seen before. Yeah,
that's what I like doing too, because like sometimes I'll just get stuck doing the same exercise every time, and while it might be good, it is fun to vary it and to try different things. Like sneak peek, Sean put down, which Sean's not here for this episode. He is at work.
Yes, he had to run to work on this
last minute.
Saturday.
But he put down goblet squats for quads, and I just started doing those because I've never really done them before, and I like them a lot.
Yeah. So let's start there then. Let's start with quads.
I enjoy doing them.
Yeah, Sean put goblet squats. I think the reason he did that is because of the loadability, because there's many other squat variations that you can load a lot more. However, goblet squats are a exercise that I program all the time and that I use as a teaching tool all the time. So a goblet squat is going to be in that front-loaded position, and that helps you vary your center of mass compared to like a barbell back squat. So a lot of times, if there's a bunch of different reasons to use a goblet squat, but especially if you're someone that struggles to get deep into a squat, doing a goblet squat can help you get that deeper range of motion since it shifts that center of mass forward a little bit.
Do you like to elevate your heels on the goblet squat? Because I've been putting like a little plate under and standing on it, which makes it like I have no problem hitting depth at all, and like I don't have to like force my body to that position. Whereas like a low bar back squat, I feel like at the bottom, like my joints are as like at max capacity for how far they can bend.
Yeah, you can absolutely do that. It'll help you get an even deeper range of motion if you elevate those heels. It takes out any kind of like ankle mobility restrictions that you might have that's prohibiting you from getting deeper. And since it changes the angle at the ankle, it also changes the angle at the knee and the hip and allows you to get a lot deeper.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on since we've got every muscle group on here today. Do we want to keep going with legs or do you want to start at the top? Let's keep going legs.
Keep going legs okay.
You want to scroll down?
Hamstrings.
Yeah, where are the hamstrings at? All right, hamstrings. We never hit quads for mine. I put pistol squats. Sometimes I feel like I see a lot of people doing pistol squats because they maybe don't know enough other exercises to use. Pistol squats are going to be really hard to load. I have programmed them before during the great COVID shutdowns of 2020 as like another leg exercise for people that just only really had body weight options. So sometimes you gotta get creative with programming. But pistol squats, I would say if you have access to a gym and a lot of different weights and machines and everything like that, pistol squats aren't the best exercise for your quads.
Yeah, and pistol squats are where you stand on one leg and then your other leg extends forward straight and is horizontal to the ground. I do these. I don't do these as like a workout, but every once in a while I'll try it just to see if I can do it. Because it's as much about balance and coordination. I mean, I would say it's more about balance and coordination than it is for actual like muscle development.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're working a lot of stabilizers with that too.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily, but they're fun to try.
Yeah. So like everything that we'll talk about on here, there's probably a good case use for using it at some point. And we're not saying to never do the exercise. It's just there's probably better exercises to use.
But yeah.
Moving on to hamstrings, I put Nordic ham curls. One of the reasons I put this is because it's become such a popular exercise over social media with the whole knees over toes kind of movement. So Nordic hamstring curls, a lot of people aren't going to get as much out of them as they hear claimed on social media, just because they're really just going to be falling forward instead of actually using their hamstrings. And even if their goal is to get the eccentric work, where that muscle is lengthening as they're falling, a lot of people are really just going to like fall forward and not even able to like activate and really target those hamstring muscles as they're falling.
That's another exercise where I think it's cool to be able to do, but it isn't something that I would ever put into my workout program consistently.
That's how I feel about almost all calisthenics exercises.
Yeah. Muscle ups too.
That's good. They look cool. It's cool to be able to do them. But yeah, probably not the best for building muscle. Okay, moving on to calves. I put the Stairmaster for this one because a lot of people will do the Stairmaster with the intent of building their calves. And you can grow the calves through a lot of walking and like stairs, elevation. You can build the calves that way. However, when you're doing the Stairmaster, you're doing cardio and you're getting more of a cardiovascular benefit than a muscle building benefit. So remember, cardio with weights does not help you build muscle as much as just doing weights with a rest period of 90 seconds to 2 minutes.
Yeah, I have never found a calf exercise where I feel like, I really worked my calves on that.
Yeah, you should try donkey calf raises.
Okay.
You have to the machine's not available in many gyms. But if you go to like a bodybuilding gym, they'll oftentimes have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I was going to say seated calf raises for this. I feel like I end up just like bouncing the weight up and down. Usually, I mean, I try to take it slow and controlled, but I never feel like I really worked my calves after doing them.
Yeah, and that's a good point. There might be exercises that are good, but people often are just unable to do them correctly and really target the muscle that they're trying to target. So if you're bouncing on the calf raises, you're probably not hitting the calves as well. And with the calves, you really want to get that lengthening portion. You want to try to like stretch out the Achilles basically and get into that deep range of motion and then come up. You don't really even need to come up more than halfway. A lot of studies are starting to show to get those calf benefits. I don't think Nick and I can really provide personal experience. We're part of the tiny calf gang. But all right, moving on to what's next. You want to hit core?
Sure.
All right. Nick, you got any ab exercises that you think are not the greatest?
I don't know what it's called, but it's where you like stand up and you hold a dumbbell and you go back and forth.
Oh yeah, the like lateral side raises.
Yeah.
Yeah, the oblique.
I feel like that doesn't really
flexion.
do anything for me. Like after I do them, I'm just like, huh.
Yeah. That lateral flexion, it's an important movement to train that's vastly undertrained by most of us that stay in that sagittal plane forwards and backwards all the time. Lateral flexion would be like this, like that, right? So lateral flexion is important to train. My favorite ways to do this are going to be more with often some kind of rotation or doing the same thing but with a barbell. It makes it a lot tougher to really control that movement, and for that I use that more for like the spine, articulating the different joints at each vertebrae, than like a core specific exercise. For For obliques, I've got Russian twists on here. A lot of people that are trying to build their abs and see their abs are going to do a lot of Russian twists for obliques and a lot of these like circuit type things, body weight type circuits for their core. But your abs are like any other muscle. You want to use weight and tension to build that muscle, not just use body weight stuff like we talked about earlier with the calisthenics. So when it comes to building your abs and making them bigger so it's easier to see them, same things apply as all other muscle groups. Just like how you'd use a bench instead of a push-up to build your pecs, with that core you want to really load it and take your rest periods.
And then, so that was obliques. And then for, I guess, regular core, or rectus abdominis.
So the rectus abdominis, for those that don't know, is like the six-pack ab muscle. That whole going down from your ribs, your diaphragm, all the way down to your pelvis.
Yeah. I'll call these leg swing ups where you have your forearms down on pads and like you just swing your legs up to 90 degrees.
Yep.
I feel like those are very hard to do properly, and I just feel it in my hips more so than my core, which I do make sure that I flex my core up, like take my hips and try to push them towards like my forehead. That's how I actually activate them during that exercise, but I feel it a lot more in my hips than I do in my core.
Yeah, you're spot on for this muscle, Nick. I think you were kind of a little worried about this muscle potentially since you didn't recognize the name, but you're spot on. When you're training the six-pack ab muscle, that rectus abdominis, you want to focus on really like articulating each vertebrae at the spine and more like curling that pelvis up or curling the ribs down, rather than just having your hip, all the movement at the hips. So for a similar reason, I put sit-ups here. Not just because people don't really load them most times and they just try to do a bunch of them and do them in a circuit, but because a lot of people are just going to use their hip flexors when they're doing sit-ups. You see this all the time in the Army on the PT test. People are solely using their hip flexors and really not using their abs at all. You can do sit-ups and use your abs, but a lot of people aren't going to. So if you are trying to do sit-ups to train your abs, try to keep that low back flat on the ground and then just like really curl and curve and flex your spine and bring those ribs and like bring your chest to your knees by having that curvature, and trying to like press your low back into the ground can be an easier way to do that.
So is that more of a crunch than a sit-up?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, crunch. Yeah. I mean, it depends on like how you're doing it with your legs, like where you're positioning them. To me, for a crunch, so like I think a crunch, the feet are more elevated.
Yeah.
But same kind of, that's what you're trying to do essentially. You're trying to make it more of a crunch. All right, moving on. You want to hit shoulders?
Yeah.
All right. We'll work through kind of each part of the shoulder. So for the rear delts, the back of that shoulder, you'll see a lot of people get on that rear delt fly machine, the pec deck machine, and they'll do the reverse and do the rear delt fly. So a lot of people are going to do this exercise just wrong as far as like where they're positioning their arms. So if you are going to do this exercise, or really any rear delt exercise, your goal should be, you want that elbow to get back behind the shoulder. I'll say it again into the mic in case people miss it. You want that elbow to get back behind the shoulder as you go into that shoulder extension. So a lot of people, when they do rear delt training, they're not getting their elbows back behind, and maybe their elbows are down, or they're just only going part of the way. But to really shorten that rear delt, and you can feel it if you try to do it. Like I've done this with clients over FaceTime before for other rear delt exercises, just kind of showing them without the weight how they need to get their elbow back to really feel that tightening of the rear delt. And so if you just play around with that, you can kind of feel it. And then when you go into the gym to do a rear delt exercise, you can try to target that better.
Yeah, I like doing those with cables a lot. I feel like I can like the pump afterwards, and it just feels so good. And plus I feel like you can kind of move or like target the muscle, or like which muscle you're working with cables better just by how you're positioning your arms.
Yep.
Which I really like. I I actually do those more on a back day, and I feel it more in my like the middle of my back.
Okay. Are you
But
doing like
that
cross?
could be
Crossing the cables. Yeah.
cross, and then but
That
then I
follows
guess
the line
like
of the
face
pull.
pulls, I feel like that targets more delts, right?
Yeah.
Or,
Depending
okay.
on how you're doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anterior delt. This is going to be the front of the shoulder. I put front raises where people are like raising the dumbbells out front. And the reason I put front raises, although not a terrible exercise for that anterior front delt, is you can do any kind of overhead press variation and get a lot more out of it. Any kind of overhead press variation is going to really blow up your front of your shoulder.
I don't know if these are your front or anterior delts, but the one where you hold the barbell and then you just lift it up towards your chin.
Yep.
I see a lot of people doing those, and I don't know if I've ever done one, or no, I did do one, and my shoulders just didn't feel good when I was doing it.
So you have to be kind of careful with any kind of like a high pull like that. Because a lot of people are going to do it wrong and have a lot of internal rotation in their shoulder. So it can be a tough exercise to teach. But if you're doing them correctly, that is a great medial or lateral delt exercise. When you're trying to target that medial delt, if you're doing that high pull or whatever you want to call it, you can feel that you're kind of shortening that middle portion of the shoulder as your elbows are out like fully to the side. But those help blow up my shoulders a lot. Like a lot of like 3D spherical thickness to them when I really got into training those. All right, moving on to the... for those medial delts, I had a cuff lateral cable raise. So when people put like the ankle or wrist cuffs around their wrist and do the lateral raise that way, because you'll get a lot more shoulder activation whenever you're gripping something tightly with your fist. So if you want to just try like doing a lateral raise without any weight with an open hand and then doing it with like clenching a fist, you'll just feel it more just like that. So I'm kind of against the cuffs for that exercise for that reason. But a lot of people do that. That's like one of those trends on social media for science-based lifting. You know, they're always trying to make these crazy exercises and say that it activates XYZ more. All right. Traps. Nick, you got any for traps? Any exercises you don't like?
I don't like doing shrugs with dumbbells. I just don't feel like I can load it as well or enough. I just prefer using a barbell, but I mean, if you can do them with dumbbells.
Yeah. I mean, from a loadability standpoint, you're going to be able to load a barbell way more than a dumbbell on that. But there is some value with the dumbbells as far as like range of motion. You can usually get a lot more range of motion with that dumbbell, and you're holding it with a neutral grip instead of having that pronated grip. But yeah, I mean, barbell shrugs are a classic trap exercise. I said strapless barbell shrugs for the traps because for most people, their traps are going to be way stronger than their forearms. So a lot of people find if you've never used straps and you're doing shrugs and then you take a pair of straps and do shrugs with the straps, you'll be able to shrug way more. So load it up. Don't be afraid to use straps unless you're like a raw power lifter and you really don't want to be training anything that's going to make something stronger than your grip strength. But people are sometimes, some people are afraid to use straps because they think it's like cheating. But for an exercise like that barbell shrug where you're using so much weight to really overload those traps, put on some straps.
Yeah, I don't think there's any problem with using straps when you're trying to target a specific muscle. Like in that case, you're trying to do your traps. Like if you want to train your forearms, you can do specific exercises for that.
Yeah.
Same with rows. Like I don't see any issue putting straps on to do some rows.
Yeah, if your grip strength is the limiting factor, then and you're trying to train your back, then yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot easier to go till failure because once your grip strength starts to weaken, your body kind of naturally knows that your grip strength is weak and like won't let your body continue.
Yeah, it's really hard to like mentally override the central nervous system when it's feeling like that.
Yeah.
Unless you got that dog in you. All right, moving on to lats. Sean put the lat pull down, and I'm pretty sure the reason he did this is because when a lot of people do the lat pull down, there's different ways to do it to target different areas of your back, and a lot of people are going to get that more extended position, and then they're going to target their upper back a little more maybe than their lats. So, if you're hitting the teres major and the different portions of the trap more with the way you're doing a lat pull down, then it's probably not the best lat exercise selection. So you got to look into how you're doing that. I put the hinged cable pullover. It's unfortunate Sean is not here for this one because he's mentioned before on the podcast that this is like one of his favorite exercises.
Hinged. What is that? I may know what you mean.
He's going to be like bent over, and then he's going to take like a long lat pull down bar and put it on the cable, and then he's going to pull it down so it looks like looks like this.
Okay, that's what I thought you were talking about. I've done those here and there. I feel like I get a good pump from it, but you can't really. It's very hard to like load that heavily.
It can be hard to load, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is a lot of people are going to use their triceps way more than that.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm working other parts of my body as well.
Yeah. So training in that hinged position can be really good, especially for your low back. And it's not directly loading the low back, but it's putting you in that position. So I actually used this a lot when I was recovering from my back injuries from Ranger School because I was able to put myself in that hinged position without directly loading the low back. So that was really helpful from like a rehab perspective. And that's where finding a really good coach or physical therapist that's helping you progress through lifting coming back from injury can make a huge difference. The hinge cable pullover, a lot of people are going to work their triceps more. So you're going to have to play around. It's such a unique exercise to feel in certain muscle groups that I found when training clients, if we're doing this, there's no like one size fits all cue to help someone hit their lats more. I usually have to do a lot of like just walking them through playing around with it. There are different things you can do as far as like trying to get your elbows in a little more that will try to help with the lats, but I find that hand positioning is going to vary client to client, especially female to male, and you're going to have to really just kind of play around with it a little bit.
All right. Do we do biceps?
Biceps, what you got?
Yeah. So it's this hammer curl variation where your arms are kind of out to the side and you're doing your hammer curl towards your body. So kind of like like the robot arm dance where they're kind of I just don't think that it gets through like a full like a full range of motion, and people are just doing too high of weight on that, or they can do more weight, so they do that instead. I just don't feel like it works the bicep fully.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're just sitting there without any weights and you just supinate your wrists and your hand there, you'll feel that bicep flex and move up. So, like one of the biceps' most important contributions is that supination. So if you're really trying to target the biceps, you probably want to try supinating in the forearm there, supinating the wrist to try to hit the biceps more and get them more involved. You don't have to supinate the biceps. You can still get some good bicep work, especially like holding things that are heavy. That's going to put your bicep in a lengthened position, put a lot of tension on it. That's how people tear their bicep deadlifting. There's so much tension on the bicep. So not to say that any bicep exercise without supination is bad, but for the one that Nick was just talking about, like you're not loading it super heavy. So the real target of that exercise, you probably want some supination in it. And a lot of people don't really do that if they're doing the hammer curl. So yeah, that's a good one. Working more of the brachialis. I put a wader curl, which is people will do this a lot of times with a dumbbell. They'll turn a dumbbell vertical and they'll put their hands on both sides of it, and then they'll do a curl like this way with their palms up. You're starting in a supinated position for that. So I like to more select an exercise where you're starting in a neutral or pronated position and then you're actually supinating throughout the rep. when you start supinated, your biceps already kind of starting in a little bit of that more shortened position. And the loadability can be challenging. So I feel like people don't get as much out of this exercise as they think, even though their biceps might feel tight because they were in that shortened position.
And let's go to the other part of the arm, tricep. There is not a single tricep exercise that I don't like doing. I feel like if you
Big tricep guy.
I guess there's the over the head dumbbell extension, which that puts my my elbows in a weird position, and I feel a lot of pressure on my elbows while I do that. So for that reason, I don't like it very much. But I mean, I still feel like it works the tricep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. That can be that overhead one with the dumbbell can be a tough one. Kind of like the hinged cable pullover. For that one, play around with where your elbows are. So your elbow position will influence what head of the tricep you use a lot on that. But also changing your elbow position, either bringing your elbows in towards your head or flaring them out a little more, can help you find a position that you're not going to be in any kind of tension or pain in. But just with the amount of pressure that it puts on your elbow as your elbow comes down, a lot of people do struggle with elbow tightness and like tendonitis kind of feeling issues with that one.
And then also on your neck, I feel like people naturally push their neck forward, which I definitely do, and it puts I guess that's what you're like C6 in like a weird position. What I broke wrestling, which is the only reason why I know there's like the C6 around there.
Okay, moving on. We've got 1 minute here before we got to head to Bible study. I put tricep kickbacks. A lot of people like the tricep kickback, just leverage standpoint. You're not working the tricep very much. It's pretty crappy exercise. But moving on to chest, I put the dumbbell together press that people like to do, where they're pushing the dumbbells together and they're using lighter dumbbells and they're pushing up as they do that. It does help your arms feel like they're brought in towards the midline of your body, which can help you feel your chest more. But overall, I just don't think it gives the pec a lot of stimulus, and you're not abducting across your body.
Yeah, and then also the dumbbell fly with dumbbells, because I really only feel that at the bottom of the movement. I get a good stretch from it, but once I get out of the bottom a little bit, I just feel like I don't have enough weight and it's not doing as much.
Yeah, I mean, just if you look at like the physics of it, once you're getting past that 35, 45 degree angle, you're losing like all the tension because the vector arrow is just pointing straight down. But it's, at that point, it's not targeting your chest. There's way less resistance as you're moving and abducting across your chest with that arm. So definitely the physics of that exercise just doesn't make it the best exercise, I would say, as far as like the line of pull of the muscle and like the tension. So tension only really in the bottom portion for that one.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think that hit all the groups. So if one of the exercises we listed is one of your favorite exercises and you want to replace it, you can message us on Instagram, and Ted will give you a good exercise to do instead.
All right, thanks guys.
Thanks for joining us today at Weights and Wealth, and don't forget to apply today's lessons to live healthy and wealthy.
If this conversation will contribute to your fitness and financial gains, please share it with a friend or family member and give a 5-star review so more people can lift bigger weights and get bigger bank accounts.